there's some Revelator songs that I'm like, man, we got to bring those back. But we've done so many songs and albums. There's like so much to choose from that I guess we don't think about it all the time.
You need to get you a really good slide player in Nashville, and you guys need to cover a Derek Truck song.
He told me Susan wrote the song, which he was proud of. He said that with great pride, the way you say nice things about your family.
From the first note with Tedeschi trucks, they just blow you away.
Yes, we will. I wouldn't argue with anyone that says that could be my favorite song on I Am the Moon.
He, signs my ticket, and I look over at Susan. I say, Susan, would you sign it too? And she goes, oh, heck yeah.
Kevin calls me and was like, hey, man, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. He was like, Derek wants to record some tuba stuff. I said, when do you want to do it? And he was like, let's do it Wednesday.
It was Midnight Harlem. And it caught our attention, man. And we started diving deep, and we're like, okay, we got to see these guys.
What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 183, and I am Adam Choit. To follow the show at Tedeschi Trucks podcast on Instagram. Please subscribe on YouTube, all the listening platforms. I'll be putting out an audio version of this episode, of course. Support on Patreon if you can. That's definitely appreciated as well. Patreon.com/TTB podcast. Definitely some good perks that go along with that, including a portion of your subscription going towards the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation at the second two tiers. Thank you, Kathleen, Stacy, Troy, Daniel, Mariah, Bo, and Marion for supporting. I appreciate that. I figure we'd do the end of year recap. The band doesn't have any more announced gigs that I know for the rest of the year. Maybe some of the members have some things coming up. I'm sure there's some things going on. Maybe some of my guests can even speak to that. Yeah, but they have no announced shows, so I think we can do it midway through December here on December 15th. Deuces Wild, Ass Pocket Whiskey, Kofi Day of Service, Collecting Poker Chips, just some things I jotted down off the top of my head, words that made me think of this past year, as well as the 6 shows that I was lucky to go to, the 3 Beacon towards the end of February, early March in New York. I was solo to that, but I didn't feel solo, of course, seeing so many familiar faces, friends and Swamp family and crew and band members and whatnot, just around that area of the venue and inside, of course. And then the California shows, LA, San Diego, LA, were super fun. We had guests in that second LA show. Tim LaFave was there. And we'll get into it. I think maybe we'll just scroll through some of their band's social media starting at the beginning of the year, and it'll be casual. We'll jump around. We got Daniel Marino coming, Larry James, and David Flamm to share. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
What's cracking? I appreciate you guys. What a year!
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy almost New Year. I was gonna say where do we beginning, but I suppose that would be January. That's probably a good place to start the year. But I mean, what if you guys got any thoughts? We can all steer the ship. I was gonna pull up their Instagram here. Their first post is winter sale, select items 40% off. This is not current, but hey, we're gonna be thorough but casual.
Well, Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, happy holidays.
Thanks, you too.
Definitely happy holidays. What a year, huh?
Yeah, great year.
Oh, man. Dave, how many shows did you end up seeing?
Ann and I caught 12 shows in 5 states.
Wow.
So that's what we did. A little bit down from the last few, but I also think TTB didn't have as many shows. But man, it was a great year though. It was a great year. Really enjoyed it. How about you, Larry? How many did you get?
I got to 4 shows this year in 3 different states too. So there you go.
There you go. Daniel?
Yeah.
I went to 9 shows. I got to think about how many states. So Atlantic City, so New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and Florida. Because I went to Sunset and Soul, so 5 states.
Nice. 5.
Yeah, we're all over. Yeah, it was fun.
Wow, that's great. I mean, I been looking at this year and like over the course of the, I guess, 10 months, and they hit almost every state, that they traditionally do. And it's so nice to know that they can go coast to coast, and give fans the opportunity to see them. I mean, they played Nebraska, they played Arizona, they played California, from Vancouver all the way down to San Diego.
Yeah, they were quite thorough. I remember those shows at the beginning of the year, especially those, was it like the Beacon shows and the Warner shows? Like those were just like every night seemed to be like a different set list or something. It was like just some new. I don't even know if all those shows were necessarily even part of the Deuces Wild tour. They weren't even like leaning into that yet at those points. Those Beacon shows were not part of.
No, we got chips at the Beacon show.
Oh, we did.
Yeah. The blue. I don't know. Is that the club or whatever? Because I went 3 nights to be. I had a lot of the blue ones. I was chasing all these others, but we had 3 nights. I think we might have been the same 3 shows, possibly. Adam there in New York. That kind of kicked it off for Ann and I. It was kind of a different time of year to see TTB in New York, but it was awesome.
Yeah. I think, the whole tour this year, all 10 months were dubbed the Deuces Wild. I don't think they went under any other marquee for the year. So I think it started in, I guess, February and ended in November. And, with the idea that you're going to get a pair of covers or deuces in a show, in a 2-night run, and it didn't always change, with the idea that they were introducing new songs, but in some places one song was introduced at one point, and then later in the tour they would introduce the other half of the song. So I think it was possibly a revolving thing internally with them as well. They probably had this concept, and then it probably evolved over the time of the 10 months when someone probably threw out a card and say, let's try this,
Yeah, we want to play some of these songs, more than once, multiple times, right?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask if you were at Dead Ahead, Daniel.
No, I wasn't. Unfortunately, I'm sure it was amazing.
Yeah, I did a little recap of that. That was super. That was like one of the earliest things they did. You can see this is announced like late December. That was cool.
Yeah, I listened to parts of it. In fact, I listened to the set that Derek did with Mickey Hart. It was like a world music instrumental set. It was really cool.
Yeah, I still come back to that. Luckily, there was a taper for that one, and actually, I think it's on YouTube as well as the
video,
pretty much the full video and decent enough audio for that.
Yeah,
we can jump around, talk more Deuces Wild. I'm just scrolling around.
Yeah, no, it definitely started the year. I did a little research before we got on tonight, and I found that all 90 minutes of that show is online, and watched it. And it's Mickey Hart, Jay Lane, Isaac Eady, Giovanni Hidalgo, I believe from Los Lobos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Carl Perezzo, who's from Santana's group. So you have some serious talent there. And then the fact that Derek's over there just kind of throwing in some classic blues riffs over the Latino beat, it's just really, really cool.
It was cool to see some straight improv, that really cool.
I agree with that. Yeah. You don't get a lot of that all the time.
Yeah, I sent that to some other music fans that I know in my friend group that are not necessarily hardcore TTB fans, but I'm like, oh, you might dig this check out Derek doing all basically instrumental music and the world music, like you're saying, and it's kind of hard to describe in some ways. Mickey's project, Mickey's thing is what I guess all the Dead fans refer to it as.
Right. Yeah. His stuff has always been kind of worldly and kind of mostly Afrobeat. It's kind of on the fringe Grateful Dead stuff, but more of his own influence with drumming and world beats. So it's nice to see Derek kind of like jump back into that kind of sound too with his, his background with DTB, with the Derek Trucks band. He kind of had that sound kind of always there.
Sure.
I feel like it's been kind of lost with the whole rock, Tedeschi Trucks stuff.
There's fans that are partial to that sound and would love to see more DTB or DTB project get back together. I definitely we definitely see those comments, of course, going around. We wanted. I mean, I feel like we want it all as fans. We want, Derek makes everything better. There's only so much of him to go around, I guess.
Yeah.
It seemed like he enjoyed the set too. It was something a little bit different.
And he was sitting the whole time, which is maybe relaxing. It's like a different vibe. He's generally standing for everything other than like the acoustic stuff.
For sure.
Here's when Bourbon and Beyond, I guess, was announced.
Right.
In January.
Yeah.
That was the debut of the Ass Pocket Whiskey, or an early event related to it.
I still haven't tried it. I'd really like to. I'm waiting for it to be available in stores.
Yeah. I gotta get my hands on it too.
I did not purchase on the first round, but a friend sent me a bottle, but I haven't cracked it open yet. I'm waiting for to connect with a buddy of mine, and we're gonna crack it open together.
Nice.
But I did buy the second round, which is supposed to be a lot higher proof for the holidays, and
oh wow,
I got word it's supposedly in transit. So
okay,
so I'm gonna have a bottle of each to open somewhere, before the new year, I guess.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm excited to try it.
It's 100 proof though. I thought the first round was 100 proof. So I don't know. What are they going to 120?
I think it's 122.5 for Christmas for 12.25.
Oh, nice.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
What's the proper way to consume something that proof? Like, what is because I guess you can
responsibly.
Yeah. Not while driving.
Yeah,
that's true. I was just saying, like, what do you are you supposed to mix a little bit more water, or a little? Because I know sometimes you're supposed to add a drop of water or something. I don't know. The experts have all different thoughts on this. You be a man and you drink it.
Yeah, I mean, bourbon's one of those drinks that a lot of people like straight. Some people like it on ice. Some people like it with a liqueur or a mixer like ginger ale. I liked it with ginger ale. But something that fine, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, it's going to be usually just on ice. You
want to try it in a relatively pure form, I would think, at least the first time.
A big ice cube with my bourbon usually for me.
Yeah, that's the way I like it.
It's my way I do it too.
Yeah.
So I was at the second Atlantic City show, and that was a great night.
Yeah,
that's pictures of me right there. Yeah, that was the first time they did It Ain't Fair.
Okay.
Which is like one of the covers they debuted this year. I guess they played that one through the whole tour, right?
Yeah.
Hope that one sticks around.
I think it will. I mean, based off of everyone's reaction, listening to other shows throughout the year, and in my research this week, I would have to say that one, probably the combination primarily with Dreams, had garnered the most applause and respect out of the crowd. And so that kind of praise, I mean, it doesn't just, if they stopped doing it, it would just, it would be legendary.
Yeah.
For us that saw it, but I doubt that something like that on that level they'd let go, particularly because Alicia is getting so much attention from it.
Is there any other band out there that has even attempted that song, or can even come close to capturing that type of thing? Maybe some Allman cover type bands have gone there, but I'm not sure. Other than maybe that, who could even vocalist or
I've seen not that song, but I saw Wise for Panic with I think it was Margot Price do Rock Steady or one of her songs, Aretha songs at Lock-In. I think they did that. And actually, I think they was the year that TTB was playing. So they borrowed the TTB horns to complete the ensemble. So that was the only time I've ever seen one try to like take on Aretha, you know, in that capacity, in a rock capacity, not so much just a cover of her song in a studio, but at a live rock show, pretty difficult task to take on, you know, the Queen.
They have to add another Alicia song to the set as a possibility. That way, when we see Alicia coming down to the front, we don't know, are we getting this or are we getting that? Just so you have a little bit more of an element of surprise. I'm sure she'll get another up down front, you know, song, a big lead like that.
Yeah, you kind of have to ask that question, like, what has that changed because of the reaction of the crowd and because of the praise she's gotten, and just internally with the band? I mean, you could see smiles on everyone's faces. Like, what does that do now? Does that say that we're going to dedicate a portion of the show to Alicia and Mark? And, you know, you have that ability, which is amazing. I'm sure Susan wouldn't mind not having to sing every song. You know, Gabe's already stepped it up so much too this year.
Yeah.
I think you're answering your own question. I think we will get get enough of that to satisfy the fans, enough of that to satisfy Alicia's creative, you know, juices and spotlight and all that, you know, everything that comes with doing a big lead like that. I think it'll, you know, they'll figure that out. Derek will figure it out where, you know, what works. But yeah, two or more Alicia, you know, possibilities would be cool. Yeah. I mean, they played it. I mean, I feel like almost every other show, like towards the second half of the year.
Actually, a total of 28 times.
It ain't fair.
Yeah, they played 28 times this year.
I was looking through my set list, and they played it the Thursday night at the Beacon. I don't know if that was the first night on February 29th. They played it that night. I see that here. I was kind of looking just through my set list. I think I saw 10 songs for the first time this year.
Wow.
Had never seen them do before. You know, obviously, a number of them were new
Keep
covers
better records than me.
that they broke out this year. That was pretty cool.
I saw at least 3 songs each night. Each night of the shows I saw, except for maybe in St. Augustine I probably saw at least 2.
Yeah,
because they played It Ain't Fair.
The now legendary St. Augustine show that we all want to hear a recording of.
I don't know if it's going to be that much better than any other show this year, but honestly, it's because no one's heard it. It's just this enigma.
Yeah,
you know,
it's got a mystique now.
Well, it was. Hey, Larry, it was great to be there. That night.
Man, it was so good.
I think one of the things that was big about that is it was. You know, there was no opening act and they had no set break. So it was just full on, you know, whatever it was, 2.5 hours or whatever with no break. It was just so unusual for that to happen.
Yeah,
it was a hometown show too, right? That's like close enough to Jacksonville for them, right?
Yeah, it's 30 minutes south. Yeah.
That was like the last show, like towards the end of March? When was that show?
Right. Yeah. End of March. Their end of their spring tour for sure. They kind of started it in New Jersey and went down the East Coast.
There's the poster for it. St. Augustine, March 16th, I guess, middle.
I guess I should be bummed that I didn't get a poster from that legendary show.
Someone got a foil for this one, or there was a foil, because I feel like I've seen it.
I didn't get a poster either, Dave, so you're not alone, but I guess the hope is they'll play it again and do something else.
Yeah,
come up with a new one.
I've been to St. Augustine before.
It was definitely a lot more enjoyable than seeing them over at Daly's place.
Right. Yeah. Could you imagine being there in the springtime, just knowing how nice it is out on the island?
Yeah, that was
130-minute set.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
Commenting here.
So you said the St. Augustine Amphitheater is on an island?
Yeah, it is on an island, not like a boating to island. It is just happens to be, you do go over a bridge, but it's it's called Anastasia Island, Anastasio Island. And it's links up with St. Augustine Beach, and
Cool.
That was fun, Larry. We had the tailgate before. It was just that night was just pretty damn good.
yeah, it was warm. It was like the first burst of 70s back in the spring, and it just being in Florida, you kind of have this spring break vibe, and we did have some nice bourbon. Dave provided, thank you as always, and Ann and my wife chatted it up, and then we walked in the show and lights went down. It was fantastic. So.
That was actually also Ann's 100th show, as it turned out.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that was turned out to be pretty special night. So that was awesome.
Yeah, Tom in the chat saying "Chain of Fools." I mean, they could do with I'm assuming with Alicia doing the vocal would be cool.
I enjoy that.
You could then you don't always maybe do Dreams, because Dreams eats up a lot of clock, so to speak, and you could do an Aretha sort of Deuces Wild from that sort of perspective and get a little bit of the Dwayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like a 20-minute jam together, right? At least.
Yeah. One thing we haven't talked about is what they introduced in the spring also is the actual stage set, the curtains and the chandelier dropping. Which is new. I mean, I was actually going back and like, what did the stage look like in 2023? But I couldn't remember. But then I looked, and it was just a normal backdrop. It wasn't what we got. And so I was thinking about why did they choose that actual set? And I was wondering if it had anything to do with the Deuces Wild also, because it kind of looks like a Vegas loungy kind of atmosphere.
I see it. Yeah.
I could be reaching, but it was classic or classy and comfortable and warming at the same time. All the things that 2022 was not, with their stream lights around
the Caesar lights.
The Caesar lights.
Get some feedback on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
It was definitely easier on the eyes for sure.
Yeah. And that's cool. But I thought they did a great job, whoever designed that. I don't know if we'll ever find out. Maybe that's a Bradley question, if we can find out who designed their backlit stage setting. Yeah.
So in the spring tour, I think my favorite date was the Baltimore show, which I guess would have been like
Hippodrome.
Yeah, Hippodrome.
I was listening to that today.
Early March. Yeah, that is a really high quality recording on Archive, and it's all it was a really, really good show. It's my favorite Passaquan from that show. That was a fun one. Just high energy, start to finish.
Did they split up the Passaquan with the
Just be it,
or did they do the High Dakota J?
Or no?
No,
they did Mountain Jam to the summer, but was it the circles around the
No, it was just Passaquan.
Just Passaquan, okay.
Yep.
That 44 Blues is smoking.
Yeah, that was also a fun one too.
I will say that, yeah. And all the love there's certain that just jumps out at me on the set list, because you don't get that every night. That's gonna be a psychedelic moment.
And in that one too, they did it like that. I thought that they transitioned it with Anyhow really well. It was kind of really good contrast between those two, with All the Love being like a really heavy kind of feeling tune.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that tune. That's really awesome live. Love
that. Actually got more play this year too. All the Love was played, I think, more so this year than ever. So, which is cool.
There's still so much stuff off of I Am the Moon that really got very little play.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that's going to change next year.
Yeah, I'm hoping for somehow.
But they're working on new stuff, so that's going to probably take the priority, and we're always going to get covers. I just think that's always going to be a thing. So that's one of the things. Their catalog is getting too big.
I just vote for longer sets, right? That's all.
three set shows.
Three shows. Yeah.
3 set shows.
Definitely.
I mean, and you could do it because maybe you don't have all 12 on for every single, song, and you have obviously different vocalists carrying the lead at different points. It can be done. Maybe curfew and paying everyone comes time and money, I guess, is what comes into question.
Yeah, that's the factor. How do you squeeze it all in 2.5 hours? But
Richmond.
Yeah, I was talking about the sandwich between Circles Around the Sun and Had to Cry Today. I thought that was kind of a cool way of introducing Had to Cry Today, the Clapton Winwood song, and the fact that they put those together with Passaquan. I thought it was a cool thing they did over the spring tour as well, which I don't think they kind of dropped it after they started the summer. So
because that was Mountain Jam with Passaquan.
Because it became the Mountain Jam Passaquan. So
unfortunately, I didn't catch that one this year. Too, I would love to have seen it.
Me either. I was very excited to see it, but they did play Passaquan in Atlanta, which I was really shocked. I was expecting that, but they didn't do it.
They did not play Passaquan in Atlanta for the last two shows.
No,
despite Passaquan being 2 hours from the venue, the actual site of.
I know. It wasn't really it was an awesome show, but both the nights were amazing, but there wasn't anything that was super long. I think they wanted to just play as many songs and feature as many people, and the set list game has just been ridiculous this year. So hats off to whatever they came up with each night.
I don't know whether it's because it's the most recent one or what, but I have listened to that final show on the archive just over and over and over and over again. I think I just like the set list specifically, and there's a bunch of different postings of it. Like I've been just diving into that one. The what's the was it the Blind Faith?
A Presence of the Lord.
Presence of the Lord, yeah. I mean,
which was actually introduced in the spring and went away for the summer, and then it came back in the fall.
What's better than that? There's nothing better than.
Yeah, it's like a giant kitchen sink just of songs, and that's what's great about that last night. I mean, I think Dave and I were like, I guess we both wanted more on Friday, and so, but Saturday came around, we were like, I couldn't ask for a better show, Even though we didn't have the Passaquan, which in a way you don't want 20 minutes taken up in your final show, of just straight up.
You win either way, but I think that partly also a big part of it is that the shows were streaming on Nug, so been able to watch the shows and listen to the shows and experience them live. I guess like listening back, maybe part of me is like, oh, I was kind of there. I can I'm reliving the experience. Like I guess there's something special when I go back and I'm listening to audio or watching video of shows I was at. That's a part of it, but sometimes I forget that because the music is so good. I just totally lose myself in how good the music is. I forget. I'm like, oh, I was actually there too. Isn't that cool? Like, I'm just so deep into listening to awesome Derek playing or the band or what,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of listening to the shows that I've gone to. It puts me shall I say, not right in my seat, but standing in front of my seat like I was at the show, So you just, I don't know, I relive it. And I guess that last show, Larry, you didn't get to join Adam and I for the recap, but I was so proud of Atlanta that night. I thought it was the best Atlanta crowd I'd ever seen at a TTB show. And I felt like the band really kind of fed off of that. And, Derek's set list. That second set. It was ridiculous. It was just, like I said, near perfection. What a way to end the year. What a way to end the year. It
was one song after the other. And I agree with you, Dave, because I'd say next to that show, the St. Augustine show, you had crowd reaction where each song, was being cheered on more and more. But being in a theater, you could really hear it more. And just from the opening notes, the crowd was like pushing the band. And there was definitely a conversation, if you will, going back and forth. And, not just between solos, but just between songs. And there was just a great energy in the room. And I hadn't felt that ever at a TTB show, because it's usually everyone's sitting down, or, it's just too quiet, or just people drinking and not paying attention, or, out on a summer amphitheater show, just enjoying the night. It's just the attention of now. I haven't seen an attention like that before.
It's crazy. It's crazy how that varies by show too, because I know what you're talking about. It's like some shows, the crowd's a little more energetic. Some shows are not. Like the Baltimore show, I would say, is the same thing. I remember from being there. It was just like there was an atmosphere in the room. It was a lot of
feel
fun.
that you feel that energy, Danny.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've
it's
been
not
on
like
both
that
sides.
every time. You're right.
No,
a lot of the time, everybody's sitting down, and it's always a great time.
I'll never forget seeing him in 2019 in Dallas, and I drove like 10 hours to be there. It was kind of ridiculous, but I had the opportunity, and
cool.
I got in this show. I was so pumped. I was ready to go, and everyone was sitting down, and the music started, and I had the last row underneath the balcony, and luckily I had the room, but nobody was dancing, and hardly they clapped between songs, but it was like being in a movie theater, and I was dancing and having a great time by myself, but it was also the weirdest concert environment I've ever been to. I've never been to a concert where nobody was standing. Yeah, like no, everyone
not
sitting.
A rock concert, right? It's
not
like,
a rock concert, not a TTB concert.
Yeah.
And I was
yeah.
having a great time.
Well, actually, David Gilmour was like that, but that I saw him this year too. That kind of fits Pink Floyd's music though, but it doesn't fit TTB.
No.
It was in Dallas, and was it like all not hardcore fans? I guess newbies or something, or just people going to a show to go to a show.
I think a little bit of both. I mean, sometimes these theater shows, they cater to the season ticket holders, so it's like they're just going anyway.
Weeknight? Was this weeknight?
It was a weeknight, actually. It was like a Thursday night.
People be sitting on during the weeknights, I guess.
I guess, which is fine. I mean, it's fine. I'm sure everyone in that audience had a fantastic evening, and that's fine. But I was just blown away by it. But the difference, you go into Atlanta when everyone's on their feet and they're cheering for the songs and the reactions and hoot and holler, and you're elevated, and it's like spellbinding, like the difference between the two. But
I feel like a lot of the shows this year were like that too. I only caught one of the Beacon shows, but I was actually up in the balcony, and I kind of didn't know what to expect, 'cause I'd never been up there at the Beacon for a show. But at least where we were sitting, we were in the upper balcony, but we were all the way off to the side.
Right.
But everybody around us was up and was dancing, was having a good time. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that's a little unusual.
Yeah.
There.
Daniel, how was the Soul, Sweet and Sand, or the
Sun, Sand, and Soul was amazing. Yeah, I had a great time. Yeah, Dave, you going back this year?
Hell yeah, we're going back.
Yep. Myself as well. We're booked. We're booked for. I cannot wait. It was a great experience. Like just the overall experience, and Topeka, the company that put on the event, just was. It's the best like music festival type thing I think I've ever been to.
Okay. Were people dancing, or I saw photos doing some research?
People were, a lot of people weren't, but it was also, it's outdoor and it's much more spread out. And I don't think that, my wife and I, we were up and dancing the whole time. I don't think we're blocking anybody's view or bothering anybody by being on our feet.
Yeah.
But because it was interesting, because it was like a pod system, which was something that they started doing during COVID.
Yeah.
To space the crowds out. But I guess they just liked the, format. But it was kind of cool because you would buy like 2 seats at a time, and you were in a little rope off area. And then there was an app that they had where you could order drinks or food or whatever you wanted. And the service was really good. Like you would order something and it was there in just a couple of minutes. There. So you didn't have to get up and miss the music to to go get a drink or something like that. But yeah, we just had an amazing time. It was also just a really nice town too. Like the beaches in Destin are beautiful.
Right. Yeah, it's a nice area on the Gulf.
First class. It was first class. I mean, I'm hooked. I can't imagine. If they keep going, I'll be going there. There's no way passing on. That experience was just amazing. I mean,
I've always wanted to do one of these destination concerts. They look like fun. Like Fish and all the other bands and
Yeah.
Deadhead, all these places, down in the Caribbean. But, the panhandle of Florida seems a little bit more accessible for me.
Oh, definitely.
You don't need
Yeah.
a passport.
Yeah.
Also,
and
it's just like, because I looked into the Dead and Companies thing that they did in Mexico for years. What was that thing? It was Playing in the Sand is what they called theirs, and it was twice as much as what we paid to do Sun, Sand, and Soul.
Yeah, I think it was like what, $400 tickets or something for the
It
weekend.
was. I think that my wife and I figured out that you could not do the Playing in the Sand for less than $5,000, and that was like the cheapest that you could get. With that, and I guess it was just also because the Sun, Sand, and Soul, we didn't stay at the resort, which saved a lot of money because there's a lot of just motels. Like our motel was walkable, it was like a 15-minute walk to get back at the end of the night, so that helped a lot.
You're dropping knowledge right now. This is dropping knowledge for this.
Yeah,
there's a Waffle House too. Yeah, we stayed at the hotel right next to the Waffle House. It was perfect.
That's a true Southern institution right there.
Were you familiar with Waffle House, Daniel?
Yeah, we don't have them in my part of Pennsylvania, but if you go out to, because I live in the eastern part of the state, but if you go like central PA, they have them. Yeah,
they do have a few Waffle Houses, huh?
Yeah.
I saw a map the other day, and I guess Georgia leads the way in Waffle House. I think Florida's second.
I believe this. Is that would you consider that a competitor to IHOP? Are there IHOPs nearby? Are they rivals? Is that the deal?
It's way better than IHOP.
That's not a fair fight.
It's a different institution, Adam. It's like I don't know. It's like Harvard and Yale. Where do you go from there? It's whoever's open up latest, and I guess 24/7 gets you. Everybody.
There's a great episode of one of Anthony Bourdain's old shows where some guy takes him to the Waffle House, and boy, it's the way he presents it. It's like the Taj Mahal for late night dining, breakfast.
That's all. It's all part of the experience of going to these shows and festivals, and that's why I need to know this information. And we've definitely talked a fair amount on this podcast about food and beer and drink and whiskey and all that. When I went to what's the restaurant in Macon where the Allman Brothers
H&H.
When I went to H&H with my dad, I ran down everything on the menu that I ordered, all the sides, and made sure that that was mentioned and how good it all was. Like there's always room for that. This was the Sun, Sand, and Soul.
Yeah, it was all. Yeah, Larry, you need to get down there, Larry. It's
I need I need some babysitters, but
it's a heck of a good time.
This is like one of the pictures of the year. This one here with Papa Trucks and Allman and Derek here.
It's
Dwayne.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he's seen those kids grow up. So
I'm excited for the lineup this year too. It looks like another great lineup. So
it does. It does. I do like the lineup a little bit better this year because Bonnie Raitt and Daniel Donato is awesome. I saw him this year, and he's growing in popularity. So I think he's going to be the next wave in that vein of new jam bands or whatever.
Yeah, the final night, Daniel Donato, Wood Brothers, and TTB. It's definitely stacked.
It's going to be interesting to see if he steps up with Derek and plays because he can rip.
And he's in an Allman Brothers tribute act too, right? Trouble No More.
Dale Donato is. I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
I thought that was what's his name? But I'm sure he plays with them too.
I could be mistaken. I'm not sure if that's the name. I was pretty sure that he was in a Allman Brothers tribute.
Yeah,
I thought it
different. Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought. What's the young
Taz?
Thank you, the young guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's in that for sure. But maybe they interchange in different cities.
They have more than one guitarist in there, I think.
Well, they have to for their brothers.
Yeah. They rotate a little too.
Certainly, I familiar with the music. I mean, they do Allman. His band does Allman Brothers covers fairly regularly.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I've listened to when they played some of their songs. So I guess we can talk about Australia, but none of us saw shows there. But Adam, you'd probably be more in
Well, there
tune
were.
with it.
I just think about, and I talk about that interview with Alt. He was the first timer discovering TTB in Australia, and how TTB encapsulated all the music he's loved in his entire life, all the classic rock and blues and American blues and British rock, like all the stuff that we love, and that Allman Brothers, all this. Somehow he just never came across Tedeschi Trucks Band and hadn't known them, and just was totally floored, and his life was changed. And he did say that people were at this festival, one of the festivals, was it the Byron Blues Festival, I think it was called, or something like that?
That's
it. Australia, and that people were there just to see TTB. So,
Adam,
good observations.
How many episodes? 180 something? That dude was the best guest you've ever had.
I agree.
I don't know if that makes him the best
that
guest.
Dude, man. He said it better than anybody else I've seen on the show.
Maybe not the best, but the most well spoken.
He just you could just feel it coming through the screen. It was like he was just it was just oozing out of him, and I was just like, I was so, if I didn't know the band, I'd be jumping,
I refer back to
right
that.
Away.
I refer back to that clip in that moment of him explaining his discovery of the band and all that. But the band, they do awesome wherever they got. Get the picture up here when they popped in with Chris Stapleton. They did a couple of songs. I Was Wrong. They did that. That's like a obscure Chris Stapleton song, I think, more obscure. And then they did Tennessee Whiskey. That's on on YouTube and all that. It's pretty awesome. Derek and Susan, doing it up.
Yeah, so they did the Tennessee Whiskey in Jacksonville with him, and then they came back and did the road show with him in Houston or somewhere in Texas. Austin.
That was with one of those sets was with TTB.
Yeah. And
that was opening at the Minute Maid Park or whatever the hell they're calling it.
I don't know the
Globe Life Field.
Globe Life Field. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The Texas Rangers. The Rangers? The Rangers, not the Astros.
No, the Rangers. Yeah, where they play.
Mm-hmm.
And it seats something like 40,000 people, something ridiculous. And if you
baseball stadium. Mm-hmm.
If you go back to listen to the interview during the Bourbon and Beyond festival, that he did with the whiskey tasting, he talks about it and saying that they had to literally change the set during the show because they weren't getting the reaction they were expecting. And so they never know. Like he was talking about writing set lists, and Derek was like, we had to change it up because we needed to get a better reaction and kind of feel the crowd out. And once it started clicking, it went well, but it was a little nervous being in front of 40,000 fans that weren't there to see you. It's kind of walking up on, and that's a big stage,
Yeah.
But I think by the end, obviously everybody was clapping and applauding. But if you go back and listen to his interview with Fred Minnick, it's pretty interesting. He also reveals that that they were taking 4 months off next year to record. So
cool.
That much has definitely been confirmed.
When was that show that with Chris? Was this it? No, this was the.
Was that in June? June maybe?
It was.
Maybe it must have been later in the year and then May, and I don't see any Chris Stapleton stuff.
Let's see here.
Somewhere was after Susan's guitar release.
It was actually mid-June, late June, in Arlington, Texas. So
they probably posted something.
Yeah.
Did you check out that recent interview with Derek?
I did watch that. I watched it yesterday, actually, last night.
Check that out.
That was great. Shredding
with Shifty. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with who that guy is, but apparently he's been a touring musician for a while and knows Derek. And
is he with the? Is he with Foo Fighters? Who is he with? He plays somebody.
That's what I think I saw in the clip.
Yeah. He must be someone famous like that. I don't listen to them, so I'm not familiar who he was. But
not familiar either. But it was a great interview. Really.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just amazing to watch him has talent. The guy that interviewed play a song, go, okay, Derek, you play it. And then he plays it, and it's like completely off the rails, improvised, along with playing exactly what he asked him to play. It's like, and then the guy's like, that's why you're the greatest guitar player in the world. It was pretty humbling.
When Derek said, he goes, I don't really remember how I played it on the record.
Right. I like that part too. Yeah. And then and he compliments Sue on that too. He says, not a lot of people can get up there and sing along with her. It's pretty amazing. So
I think even like I remember like an interview with Billy Joel. He was talking about how he would learn these classical things and these riffs and things, but then your brain just wants to build off and just create your own thing, inspired, building off of like what you're learning, and like Derek's got to keep himself entertained and challenged too, I guess.
Oh yeah,
and evolve. This was that Globe Life show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine going out in front of another person's crowd like that. It's kind of, I guess, the Eagles shows a couple of years ago were like that you went to, Dave, right?
Yeah, I went to one of the two. That was just actually last year. That was last fall.
That was last fall. God,
yeah,
it seemed like a couple years ago.
Yeah, it does. When they also the garden parties, I think were last year.
Yeah,
that I remember. Yeah,
yeah.
That was a fun show.
I listened to it was about 30 minutes or whatever with Warren and Derek, and I don't know, the two of them playing together. It just, I mean, that does something just crazy to me. I mean, it's like, iron sharpens iron, and Derek comes over, and I mean, it's like their two heads are almost touching, and they're playing off of each other. If you know, Sue Sanderson has the video of those. It's in two videos. One is Dreams, and then the other one has Into the Mystic and Blue Sky. But if you haven't watched those videos, I mean, I walk every day, and I play that at least once a week. That 35 minutes. It's just, I cannot get enough of the two of them together. It just, I don't know.
This was the garden party show you're referring to?
Yeah. When because Warren sat in for 3 songs in Boston at the Boston show.
Yeah, that Into the Mystic was special.
Yeah, I mean,
I was
Susan
really
comes in
hoping
at the end.
Yeah,
I was really hoping they do a live album of those ones.
Yeah.
Because they did that. They did like a Beacon compilation in 2021.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think the Europe tour in 2022, but we didn't get a kind of live album this year.
Yeah, that'd be fun to have a Deuces Wild, compilation.
That'd be awesome.
Shows. Yeah. It's kind of the cool thing that Fish does is that every time they have a festival, their archivist comes out and releases a live show from, or before they announce the tour, they'll release a show from each one of the cities that they're revisiting.
That's a pretty normal thing with jam bands, so Nugs, right? You're able to get, I mean, like Daniel Donato, you can get pretty much any show. These recent tours, anyway, you can get soundboards of it. Same thing with Billy Strings. I wish TTB did that. It's like my one real complaint with this band. Like, let me buy the recordings of your shows.
I mean, my 2 cents with that is that I just don't think Derek and Susan are of the mindset that everything needs to be released. And as an artist, I kind of understand that. Like, to us, there's no goose eggs, there's nothing. There's no bad nights. But it just dawned on me listening back to that interview that one of the interviews I listened to last night, Derek is very clear to announce that not every night's good. He's, and I don't hear it, you won't hear it, but none of the fans hear it. But like, if as an artist, you don't want everything out there, and that's your legacy, right? So maybe they're holding it on for future releases, kind of like the Dead did, but
it's curated, they kind of gives you the tracks here. So one that I really like when I was really started going to a lot of shows with TTB was the 2021 2022, and they did the Afro Blue into Shame.
Oh yeah, I love
2021 tour. I absolutely love that recording, and so yeah, it is kind of cool, and like you get like, okay, this is the version of a song that Derek and the rest of the band chose to release. Definitely is, I think, a cool thing. But I don't know, it's cool to nerd out over it too. It's like, I really wish I could hear that specific track, that song they played that night.
Like you were saying, David, you want to hear all the shows that you've gone to too. You want to have that memory. That's why the dead tapes during the 80s and early 90s were, for all of us old deadheads, that was it. Like just getting tapes of it and just reliving that moment.
Yeah, it's fun to collect.
Yeah,
it's part of the fun.
I did it for
I got to
years.
be like Adam. I got to fight on archive.org and see if one of our loyal tapers has got a copy of it for us.
Yeah, I appreciate the archivers and the tapers, but when you do hear, especially when you're just listening to, I think, an audio recording versus even watching something on YouTube where you're fully immersed in your listening experience, it is definitely a different experience than hearing the archive.org recordings versus like something the band has decided to put out and put through some sort of a post-production process as well. Especially when you're listening to songs that you haven't heard that experience. Like there's a lot of the I'm the Moon stuff that there hasn't been a pro mixing board audio version put out of a lot of the I'm the Moon songs. So when you hear like, like on the European recordings or whatever one they put out, like it's definitely a different listening experience. Like when the band's like, okay, we're putting out this live version, and live, like the Fox stuff as well, is like a whole different experience. And going all the way back to like the original Everybody's Talking album, that has a different quality to it than obviously fan recordings. But I appreciate it all, and like Daniel's saying, we just want more of it and all of it.
There are sometimes the audience recordings are like really high quality. But when you listen, when I'm listening to like just whatever show you can find on archive, and then I put on like the soundboard, like remastered recordings that they released, it's like it's a very sharp difference. You can tell immediately.
You need to hear all the instruments. You hear everything that you need to hear. It's a different experience. But I agree with you. Like if you listen to Jeff Fink's recordings or Alex Leary's recordings or all these other guys, they're just, you can hear pin drops in the audience too. It's crystal clear, and our lives would not be the same. So getting back to my earlier point that, the Allman Brothers didn't really allow taping. And I never heard of Allman Brothers bootleg until like almost mid 90s, almost when it was all done. Like when Dickie at least was out of the band. Things changed a little bit, but it was hard to get a live recording. And so when you got that album, you're like, I'm gonna listen to this to death, but it'd be nice to listen to or have all the shows out. So I think Derek kind of comes from that mentality of like, not everything needs to go out, but
it does force you to listen to the tracks they do release, though. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So you just go back to the live albums, like the Everybody's Talking and Live from the Fox Oakland. I mean, they're all amazing albums.
Yeah, thinking to the way they did the giving out the chips and the covers, and also the way they slow released the I'm the Moon albums. It's like they go for a curated experience. Like even with the videos that they put out, for the songs, the artistic music videos they put out for the I'm the Moon series, like they're trying to evoke a certain feeling and have a certain curated experience, and I respect that, and I'm down for it. And there's plenty of room for us to dig into other stuff and listen to whatever we want whenever we want to. So it's cool to go along for the ride. Like it's gonna be hard for them not to match with the I'm the Moon stuff, but I would love to have the same thing. Like obviously they had all the time off for the COVID times and all that, but it would be cool to even just have like a double, give me back-to-back months with like new music. They don't have to put it all out at once like traditional style. I like what they did, and it gives you something to look forward to. That's
Yeah.
always the fun. We're always looking forward
Sure.
to the next show, the next experience, the next live stream.
Well,
So I'm glad we
I
got
wonder.
Stand and Soul to look forward to. Even
Yeah.
though it's off in the distance, we've got
Oh, they're
another
adding
thing
dates.
coming.
No, I guess I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, yeah, Larry, you were
No.
saying how they have at least one in Asheville, right? Remember? Is
And
that the
Asheville.
Makeup date.
end of May?
I think it's mid-May. I don't know,
Mid-May?
Dave.
I ended up selling our tickets. I had tickets to that. It was supposed to be on Susan's birthday, and because of the the storm and how terrible things were there, they had to postpone it, and they rescheduled it. And
May 14th, 2025.
unfortunately, it's in the middle of the week,
Yeah, he's
so
got
we're
it.
not gonna. It's about
Yeah.
a 3.5 hour drive for us, so I actually sold the tickets to someone that lives up that way.
Okay.
So they're going to
Yeah.
a big fan and very good use. So
Oh, good.
I
Good.
parted with them, with a little tear in my eye, but I got the 2 shows at Sun, Sand, and Soul. So
Yeah.
see what comes up the second half of the year. Hopefully, there's going to
Yeah.
be good stuff to choose from second half of next year.
Yeah. I wonder if
sure.
they'll probably announce summer dates probably in early winter if they're working on material now, or
Yeah.
in early January, February. Derek said 4 months. So, I don't know if that's most of the winter or what. I guess they're off now, but they keep reappearing, doing gigs and stuff. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about also is
They're
like
never fully off.
how many
Seems
like guest appearances and things did Susan and Derek make this year? Dead Ahead, the Leonard Cohen tribute.
Right.
Yeah.
That was right around this time. Early.
Yeah, you had. She did Derek did the Ass Pocket Whiskey release, but Susan was in Nashville doing the award ceremony for the Americana Awards, Americana Music Awards, and and then they did the New York shows with the Warren, the Soulshine.
The most recently.
Right. And then they went back to the Kennedy Center recently, right? They were just there 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That'll be. I think that's going to air at some point.
Yeah. Is it the 22nd or something? Maybe.
I think.
Yeah,
that
the 22nd.
Right.
Yeah. So, they have done a lot this year in addition to their own touring.
Sure.
And then
the Soulshine show looked amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's just the next level. That had to have been the musical experience of the year, for a lot of fans.
Everybody that went, just raved about it. It was a great time.
Exactly.
It seemed like the best fans from all the bands who were like there based on like the recap a little bit. That's kind of like what I'm like picturing in my head. Like all the big Dave Matthews fans, the big Goose fans, the big TTB fans all kind of found their way there. It seemed like it was just like a lot of people who just appreciate music, like all coming together from kind of different circles for a great cause, cause, a necessary cause.
An absolutely necessary cause. Yeah. The destruction up in Nashville is just unbelievable. So I'm super excited to see this much money and effort and, going towards helping those people out.
The TTB Swamp Family newsletter or whatever, they sent out like all the statistics and how much they raised and how much help and like the tangible results that everyone, helped push towards, which is just cool to see the impact, which is most important, of course. CBS says Suzanne here. What's up, Suzanne?
Oh, yeah.
The 22nd.
Well, hopefully there could be some, maybe Gabe doing some shows, maybe some Scrap-O-Matic.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to see Scrap-O-Matic.
Then they'll be doing guests. There'll be things for me to invite you guys on to talk about. I'm sure, especially you, David, and Lan. Like we're all not too far from.
We got last Friday, not a week ago. Friday, we got Brandon. They call Brandon Boone in the reunion. Northside Tavern on Friday night. Isaac played drums, and it was a great show.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was.
Cool.
I'd never seen Northside Tavern as packed as it was that night. It was. I mean, it
cool.
was just jammed. Have you ever been there, Larry?
No, I've heard about it.
It's.
And
I mean,
I
it's
know
pretty
the
tiny.
owners. Yeah, I know the owner's a big deadhead. So yeah.
And,
yeah, I guess they had Isaac had his band too, the Third World band, where he recruited Brandon his band. So it's they're both, all the members are just kind of interacting with each other's side gigs and getting around too. So there's a lot of music, and then of course Gabe has his own career pretty much. Releasing his own music and playing with the trio, and he also does a lot of benefit stuff. So he released a lot this year too with his own vinyl album out. So
they have to give Gabe enough spotlight, enough shine at TTB so they can keep him, as well as Alicia and as well as the other 9 people in the, or whatever, 8 people in the, whatever it is in the band. So we, that's the biggest threat to TTB is the level of talent that's in there to keep it all together. At least that's how I view it.
So you're like making an NFL analogy that he has to have so many catches or so many passes before they trade him,
before they leave in free agency.
Yeah, free agency. Yeah. So,
well, we got a show coming up Thursday night. Ann and I are going to Variety Playhouse where Derek used to play. The Derek Trucks band used to play on New Year's Eve there for a few years. But
there's Derek Trucks band archive.org recordings. I recognize the venue name.
Variety
floating around for sure. And with Susan, a lot of Susan appearances at those shows too.
Yeah. But Kevin Scott is hosting it, who's now the bass player with Government Mule, so he's hosting it. And Charlie Starr and Benji Shanks are going to be there from Blackberry Smoke. Dwayne Trucks is going to be playing drums. And I saw Mark Rivers was on the list.
I did see that too. Yeah,
pretty excited to. It should be a fun night Thursday night. So that's why I passed on my show tonight when I wasn't feeling my best. I said let's save it up for Thursday night to see Mark Rivers and a bunch of great musicians. Don't know what they're going to be playing, but I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
You get a little piece of TTB, but you're also expanding your horizons. So in some regard, I feel like you're getting the best of everything. You get a little bit of what you love the most and are most familiar with, but you're also like experiencing something new. And I enjoy diving into even like the Isaac shows, or someone posted on Archive. I was listening to those. Those are cool. There's a whole different vibe, and a vibe I like,
Well, they played. Speaking of that, they played at Northside Tavern. They did a version of Chevrolet, and Isaac sang lead on it.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about Isaac. He actually sang this year on
like a guitar.
No, he sang Who Knows, the Band of Gypsy song.
On that song,
at the Red Rocks this year. So
guys, I gotta get out of here.
Oh, dude.
All right.
So nice. Yeah, so nice talking to you all. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah, enjoy the show tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yep, I'll see you guys around.
All right,
take care, Daniel.
Hey, take care.
Later, dude.
What, is he off to a show, a concert?
Yeah, he said he was going to, I think his guitar teacher was doing a benefit of some kind of something like that. Yeah, you guys are either you were here talking about music or off to music. I seen a bunch of music of the last couple of nights, and I saw actually, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Marcus Miller, the bass player. Do you know him by any chance?
No, I don't.
Definitely check that dude out. Seeing him play with his band with trumpet, sax, drums, keys, piano, and a couple of vocalists popping in a little bit. Like just mostly instrumental and jazz and stuff, but just like he's a lead bassist. It was like a guitar, one of those bassists who's like, oh, you could like guitar, like a guitar style leads, but on a bass, and just like so much. Obviously, can do the rhythm, and had some of like a Derek like quality as he's leading his own band and pointing at everyone and doing their thing. But incredible, like
right.
Definitely dive into that. I noticed a bunch of like people from TTB circles, musicians are all following him.
That's cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go see the band The Musical Box. They're a supposed to be the quintessential Genesis cover band, and they do only stuff from Peter Gabriel era. So it's very early Genesis stuff. And
they don't like Phil Collins. What's up with that?
It's just old. It's just old, doing the older stuff. But
yeah.
My sister and brother-in-law had an extra pair of tickets for us tonight, and I ended up passing at the last minute. So we were kind of bummed not to see that. But like I said, we got some live music Thursday night, so I'm pretty fired up.
Yeah, that'll be a variety show at the Variety Playhouse with all those musicians, and I'm sure they might have some rotating musicians. I've seen a couple of shows there. I used to see the Zambiland, Colonel Bruce shows, and that's a Atlanta staple right there in Little Five, and it's a crazy place. Yeah.
But I don't know when last time you were there, but they actually have upgraded it. It's not as dumpy as it used to be.
it's an old movie house.
Yeah,
right?
An old movie theater.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, imagine Adam going into a movie theater with like one seating area, and they just took all the seats out and put a stage at the screen, and that was it. They had the bar as you walked down, and then the popcorn in the front, but the rest of the place was just a hole in the wall. Basically. Yeah. I have not been there in years.
Yeah, they've got some reserved seats. They've got, like the pit down front now if you want to stand in general admission, or some seats on the back half of the theater there. So kind of excited about that.
Yeah,
I did get into the chip collect. You mentioned earlier, Adam, the chips and all. So I got into that, and so there've been a lot of nice people out there, and I've got hopefully the last two of the 16 are on the way to me. And I've traded with some people, and I think if all goes well, I might actually complete my collection. I didn't think that was going to be possible. There's some tough ones out there to get. But it's fun to trade. I had, some extras from the Beacon, a couple from Red Rocks, and trading people in different parts of the country. I had to call on a few friends because I didn't know which ones were handed out. I mean, some of these folks they can tell you what was handed out at each venue.
Did they I don't think they handed out anything in Atlanta. At least I didn't see it. Of course, I went in. They did.
It was the last one, the microphone.
Okay.
The microphone, Larry. That was the last, I think, of the 16 that they handed out. But and I've been able to trade because obviously we were there both nights, so we got a couple. I was able to trade some microphones to with some others to collect. So we're close to completing it, and bought like a shadow box for it and everything. So
cool.
If we complete it, we'll put that up in our shrine that I guess is our house to TTB.
I'm sure it starts at the front door with you. So yeah, what a year, huh? I mean,
there's so much we can't cover it all, but Susan's guitar.
Susan's guitar,
the release, and just so much more. Deuce's Wild tour shows. There's so much amazing stuff all around. All the posters. Just looking at Kofi Day of Service, just amazing stuff all around.
Yeah, and like all the covers. I mean, this is why I wanted our buddy that put up the spreadsheet with all the numbers and all the songs and stuff to come on and talk about it, because I tried to go through it and my head started to explode. With the Prince covers and the Bruce Springsteen, and it seemed like it would just go on forever, and like how the fact that they were coming up with new stuff every other week, it's just amazing.
I didn't catch the two Prince covers until the two Atlanta shows. The last two shows
of the year,
to get. Well, actually, I think I got one of them in Chattanooga before, but 1999, I didn't get it till Atlanta. And of course, you got your Sweet and Low.
I did get my Sweet and Low. So, Adam, I'll tell the story. So admittedly got a little emotional in the show because it was something I've been chasing for a while. It's a very awesome song. It hits you right here.
I'm
anyway,
emotional listening to it 5 hours ago, but
yeah, exactly. So anyway, I told Dave, I was like, God, that hit me so hard. I was crying in the audience, and I think you took it literally, because when we were sitting outside the outside the theater, we're saying hi to Derek and Susan, and Dave reaches over and grabs Susan and goes, "The sweet and low tonight, you made him cry." And Susan looks at me and goes, "Oh," and grabs my hand like a mother and says, "I'm so," almost like, "I'm so sorry," but she couldn't say that, but she was just so like I was like, "What are you doing? I'm not supposed to have this relationship with you." It's like, this is too odd. It was such a sweet moment from her, and like, why would she do that? But she does that, and that's just the person they are. The person that she is, and it was an amazing moment to share. Like, the only thing I wish I had my Sweet and Low t-shirt on, and that would have made the whole thing just perfect. But because I didn't wear it, that's why they performed it. So I feel like sometimes if you wear the shirt, you don't get it. So anyway, but it was a cool moment, David. Thank you for doing that.
That is awesome. That's so awesome. I didn't realize that y'all had. I didn't remember the whole scene afterwards. That's awesome, Larry. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I had told on here when we did it that when they started playing it, I mean, Ann and I just had the biggest grin. We were like, we are so happy for Larry. He is getting it out all this time. He is getting that song. And then when we saw you after, and you told us, that you were, shedding a tear, and it was just so emotional. That's so funny that, that you got to experience a little of that, the afterglow with Susan there for a minute. That's just awesome.
Oh man, it came right after I pulled Derek aside and I said, I got to tell you the story. Back in 2019, I asked for an autograph and you signed it, and I gave you back the pen, but I ended up stabbing you in the hand with the tip of the pen. It was a cold night and you jumped back, and I just want to apologize for that. And he just looked at his hands, and I looked at him, and I was like, I guess everything's okay. And he laughed, and we both had this laugh. And after that, he went back to the next person. But I was like, that was my one moment to talk to this guy, and this is what I say. But no, it was good.
That was Derek you're talking
about? It was Derek. He and I had this funny exchange, but instead of saying, "Why are you telling me the story that something happened 4 years ago?" he just looked down at his hands, and I looked at his hands. And I was like, I think everything's all right, based on the show we just saw and everything that he's played since, No,
that's a good, not that awkward and funny moment compared to some other fans' interactions, getting tongue-tied and forgetting their names and forgetting where they work and forgetting their wife's name. Like, there's been a handful of those types of starstruck moments.
You think of what you're going to say, and then they come up in front of you and you totally fuck up the whole thing.
It's not even always that. It's not always that you're nervous per se, or it doesn't have to be that. It could just be like, you're not going to have a lot of time to speak to this person, so you want to make it worth your while. So how concise and can I get to my point, whatever it may be. So there's that. But
how do I get 25 thank yous out in 20 seconds or less?
20 seconds or less. Yeah, exactly. And that was the cool thing about After the Fox. I mean, it was the last night of tour. I was expecting 50 people out there, but David, what was it, like 10 of us? Yeah. And over the course of an hour, which we had drinks and we're hanging out and the weather was nice, Mark came out and Brandon came out and Kebby came out and Alicia came out, Elizabeth came out. I mean, literally all one by one, Gabe came out. It was so casual. I was like, "Hey, Gabe, I heard you got a couple months off now for some piano lessons." My son's, it was such a, he laughed and we talked about Tangled Up in Blue, and which was an awesome addition this year. But it was such a casual, atmosphere. You kind of get the sense that, they're rock stars up there on stage, but when the lights go down, they're just musicians. This is their job. They excel at it, but at the same time, they're people, and they just, after the show, they go back to their houses. They're not crashing hotel rooms and causing drama or paparazzi. That we see, right? But no, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest draws for me outside the music, is that this band is so accessible and they do good work outside of the shows, and they have a nice community, and you guys are a nice community. So Adam, like you make this happen, of course, but yeah, it's an amazing experience, and this year really solidified it, going from March all the way to November, and seeing different people like Dave. You introduced me to a bunch of people in St. Augustine that I've never met before, but we've had some interaction with. And I just wish I had gotten to a summer show this year, but I didn't. But
yeah, there's a lot of good people in the Swamp family. A lot of good people that you meet along the way. And Adam's lucky enough to pull them in to talk about shows, and
from all over the world.
This show and this one, and
Yeah, and a lot of the goodwill from the band, from the crew, from the fans is not even necessarily publicized or talked about, that much or center stage. But there's a lot of good stuff that you can see. And then I hear through stories from you guys, other fans on the podcast, off the podcast. Like, I always think about just how Kebby, when he goes to a new city, just tries to connect with schools and music education. That's just what he does. It's not everything needs to be an official event or organized thing. It's just it's just so casually, like his existence and just the way, it comes back to how you live your life and how you spend your time and taking, I guess, meaningful action and all that. Like, that time is a finite resource. So, like, what better way to spend it than, educating kids with music? Like, and it just comes so naturally to him and to this band, like the wanting to help other people and uplift other people. And yeah, like, it's amazing how accessible they still are, and the intimate experience it is being a fan of this band. It's definitely a special thing for sure to be a, even a small part of. Where do you get this? I don't know where you get this. The quality.
Well,
it's like a bonus, like I think you were saying, Larry.
Yeah, I don't think any of the Taylor Swift fans, how all 10 million of them, ever get this close. There's probably a very small percentage of them, that actually somehow, and they have probably multiple inner rings, it's just not even,
I guess, fan communities, but it's obviously not the same thing.
Right.
How could it be?
It can't be, but I'm happy that we have a good group of people, and it's small and they are approachable, and they're willing to give up their time. Like, Dave and I were standing outside. We didn't pay for VIP, and you did, I guess, but you didn't go after the show, right?
No, we just hung out by the bus, by the back door in the bus, right? We were just out there, the common folk, and they take the time to say hello to
the common
us
folk
after the show. We're just out there. But you were talking about, like, Kebby doing so much in Atlanta, and we talked about before, that Music in the Park, which was the next day. They had, God knows what time they got to bed Friday night and Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon, Kebby's out there, and most of the band was out there either also performing or supporting, along with the crew, who I'm sure had a real late night, doing what they're doing. And then they're all out there, playing music and giving their time, to a free event, to support kids, playing music and stuff like that. It was, that was, my first time going to that, and it was such a great experience. And to see what all he does to give back to the Atlanta community, Kebby does, and that, Elizabeth is out there, Gabe was out there, Brandon and Isaac, and guys and gals from the crew. It was just amazing, all the support that he gets from other members of the band. And hopefully we get Ephraim back, as we move into the new year.
That's true.
That would be great to have him back. And thanks to JJ for sitting in whenever he could. I thought he did a great job.
Fantastic. I only saw him once, but because he wasn't in Atlanta, right?
No, he was there. Yeah.
Oh, yes, right. He wasn't there. But yeah, he did a fantastic job, and what a challenge. what a challenge to jump into an active band who was on a mid-year tour of changing the set list and introducing new songs every week, and then you have to learn these 400 songs, by the way,
Yeah, no, I guess it is a unique challenge, especially in the sense that the other 11 people have all been playing together, know each other, live amongst each other, have a rapport on and off stage. So to slip into that, I guess maybe if it's like a 4-person band or a smaller band, maybe that's it may be easier to assimilate. You only have to win over, so to speak, one
Right,
person
yeah.
or less people, or I don't know. I mean, it's just all these group dynamics are definitely interesting, but there's something like, yeah, I mean, imagine walking to a room where all 11 people, know each other and in some more intimate way than you're the outsider.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Justin in some of the pictures, that the band posted and stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking for some right
Yeah,
now.
some of that interaction.
I sent you one, Adam. I sent you one out of my list.
It's this nice.
That was.
I am sure TTB is so welcoming that they do everything in their power to make you feel comfortable. So I mean, they make us feel comfortable as fans. I'm sure to someone coming in to play with them, they
Yeah, I mean, I think
pretty darn good.
The Swamp Family starts with the 12 of them, and that's probably, they're not going to just let anyone come into that. So, they needed somebody, yes, but at the same time, it has to work. And if it doesn't work, then they go without, until they find someone that works. And, it did work well with him, and he probably was welcomed, with the challenge, but, the fact that he'd be part of the family instantly. And I'm obviously estimating that that's what actually happened, but I'm assuming that's what happens in the music world when you have a very tight knit group like that. If it doesn't work, you're in and out in a couple of nights.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that.
You're not asked back, right?
Right. Yeah. You're like, thanks a lot for showing up for that one gig you guys threw. And actually, I saw that happen. And one time we're watching, went on tour with this band and a couple of nights, and one of the players was not there after 3 nights. We're like, what happened? And, they cite different issues, but it's a lot.
Planned.
Yeah. I mean, they're on a bus together. They're living and eating and working together. It's not a lot of room for, discordance. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It'd be hard to be miserable and to be spending that much. But they're bands that are like that. They just totally some of these. Big rock star bands, the musicians don't have a relationship other than communicating 5 minutes before going on the stage or anything that's beyond what's necessary communication.
Side note, I used to live in Pensacola, Florida, and Kiss was playing there. This is like 10 years ago. And we met the crew or the roadies or whatever outside, and we're like, where's the band? Where's the band? And the guy's like, oh, they all fly in separate for the show, and then they just meet and for sound check. They don't even tour in the same bus, They literally fly in to the shows that they go to, which, I mean, they've been touring together forever, but at the same time, if the first time you see them is 3 hours before a show, that's kind of crazy, for each night of the tour or whatever. And when they're 4 weeks apart,
There's something to be said for building that camaraderie off stage, and like you said, the band like Kiss has been playing forever, so maybe it's not as necessary, or at least they don't feel as so. But I think there's something to be said for building that camaraderie off stage.
They haven't thrown a new song in their set list in 20 years.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean,
but these football teams and sports teams, sometimes before the season starts, they'll go on like a team trip or something, or do their training camp just together in some off the beaten path place or something to kind of focus on each other, themselves, and their relationships. So that definitely, I think, can improve the craft, whether it be a sport or stage show.
Yeah, in that interview with Derek, I think it was the Bourbon interview, with Fred Minnick. He says something like, yeah, the Allman Brothers back in the day, they, once you're in for blood, and they would literally take a bullet for each other. And that was the kind of collective soul that they had that formed the brothers. That was what made them a musical unit. And they were going to do, because I guess Fred Minnick asked the question, how would the Allman Brothers be received today? Would it be like TTB or whatever? And, Derek's like, I don't know how the music would go, but basically they were so connected and talented that something was going to happen regardless, and they're all so dedicated to it together. And that's kind of again, I think TTB has inherited a lot of things from the Allmans, but that's one of them with the Swamp Ampling. That's the culture, at least I get, the sense I get from this band, that they're all in it.
Yeah, it's almost like you get the sense that they're so open to the fans, and you get such an intimate experience. But you also get the sense that they're very close, and there's certain things that they'll keep to themselves, and certain things that are just for the band. It's like you feel like they're their own, we're a part of their extended family, but you still get the sense that they're their own, even like a nuclear music family, and that makes you appreciate them more, because we all have our own families and see them as their own family to be respected, and just seeing how close they are and what they build together.
Yeah, they definitely have a great culture together, and obviously working that close together for this long, you almost have to. But there's a lot to be said about keeping musical culture going too with your fans, and I think we've talked about access a lot tonight, but I hope they keep that going, because I think what was it last year, Dave? We were talking about, like, with the new management, how things were going to change. Was it going to be bigger venues? Was there going to be less access? And I think all that changed this year. I think we went back to where we were pre 2022 or whatever, when we're getting new music and new jams and more access, small venues with big venues, and
kind of think happy band, happy fans, right?
That's true.
I suppose, though. Yeah, I mean, they're like we were talking about. It's like we're getting a curated experience, and I guess part of that is they have to try new things, and they want to try new things and expand and just experiment. So it's like, yeah, not everything may work exactly right the first time, and like, I think one of the cool things is that, like, we're pretty damn ingrained in this fan community with this band and this music. So like, one thing that we don't love the most is not going to sway us away from being fans. But like any market, any community, voices will get heard. And they are very open to fan feedback. It seems like even on the app, I've seen, like, on the Swamp Family app, looking for feedback and tell us this, tell us that kind of thing. People have problems, and certain whatever, if it's tickets or things like that, those seem to be able to get resolved in one way or another. And I'm sure it's stressful. I mean, obviously there's a lot going on in the world, and obviously in the Carolinas with the natural disasters and all that. But it's definitely a headache for the band to deal with, I'm sure. And the stress of, like, are we canceling? Are we not canceling? How are we going to make up? When's the date? Figure it out. Because, like, people, humans get upset about things, even trivial things sometimes, or more trivial things in the grand scheme.
Yeah, they're a great band. That's all I can say. And this year's been fantastic. It's really proven the point again. Best band in the land, right, Dave?
Hey, my favorite band to listen to, and nothing moves me more than going to a live TTB show. Like you said, Derek says, well, we probably don't have 3 great shows in a row, but
yeah,
I've had over 100 pretty damn great shows that I've seen. So it's hard for me to discern the 100% from the 90 or an 80% show. I mean, we always feel it's special whenever whenever we get to see them, it's always a very exciting day. And that we had 12 of those days, Ann and I, this year. We're very, very, very thankful for it. And I think, was it like 84 shows I think they did this year?
Yeah, 84, 85, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I didn't count the fireside shows. There was a couple of those.
Yeah.
But
on planet Earth, that's right.
Best band on planet Earth, says Tom Lovell in the chat.
I'm with you.
Lavelle.
And,
definitely.
Well, Adam, hopefully we'll see you at Sun, Sand, and Soul, man.
We'll do my best. Yeah. We'll see if there are some other dates being announced for 2025.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll put some other stuff around that. Maybe since now they've got the Asheville thing, maybe they'll do a little something in the Southeast around both of those or something.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm hoping for, because I can't make a Wednesday show happen, and I can't make the other ones. But we'll see what happens. If they don't, then it'll be a big summer tour. They can't go without touring. It's just,
especially if they put out a new album,
right?
Whatever that may be, something's got to.
And it's not really
attached.
Yeah, it's not so much the finances behind it, but after going through this year, they're passionate about what they do, and they want to give it to the audiences or do something. I mean, I'm sure after 4 months of sitting around the house, Derek's like, okay, I'm ready to go. I've gone fishing. I've hung out with my family.
Let's go bust some strings.
Let's go bust some strings. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different experience. The recording in a studio and the writing experience and the fishing experience versus being on the road and getting the adrenaline from the people. I always come back to the BB King quote or whatever. They pay you for the travel and all the other attachments that go along with it. The shows are done for free.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the fun part, is the shows, basically.
Yeah, I can't imagine. There's probably nothing like standing in front of a crowd at Madison Square Gardens or, even at the Fox Theater. When that many people are cheering on, you want to do it every night if you can. I know they don't do that at my job.
Yeah.
I walk in the door, everyone's like,
And it's the profession that I think most common in terms of like stage performance that people, regular humans, would aspire to be. What better than being up on a stage singing or playing guitar or musical instrument? Like, there's something that's so present and spiritual, even in like a different way than like stand-up comedy or even like theater. It's just something very organic and again, like more, I guess more spiritual is the word for it than even other art forms that are on a stage in a live performance.
Yeah. With me at my job, somebody might say thank you or shake my hand or something, but I've never had a crowd stand up and applaud and ask for more.
That's true.
Much less 50,000 people. Yeah.
Yeah. 5 people, I'd take,
Yeah. Well.
So they live, I hope they get some good rest, rejuvenate the travel spirit. I hope the creative juices are flowing richly, and we'll get to experience some great things in 2025.
Yeah, here.
And I know Adam will be there all the way to cover it for us.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's always going to be something to talk about. There's too many people in the band. There's too many things. They're too itching to do shows. The band members are doing things. There's news. There's other, interviews coming out, print, video for them, things to comment on. So there's always, I still got to get some ass pocket whiskey myself to.
I was going to say, you have to set up some interviews with band members, right? You got to talk to. Hey, what about Elizabeth?
Now's the time.
Yeah. Doesn't Elizabeth live in Los Angeles?
I think some more of the band members are more low key and don't really do much of any media. But there's a few that I'm working on for sure. And now might be the best time to do, especially after the holidays. Before whatever comes next during this break.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it up to you then.
Working on it.
Make that happen.
Yeah.
I will do my best, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time, the stories. We did cover a lot. I think we did pretty good. We, there's just too much. They were 83 shows or whatever you said. We can't cover every single one and the appearances, but thank you so much, guys.
No problem.
Good stuff
Thank
all
you.
around. Enjoy the
Thanks
rest of your
so
evenings,
much,
guys.
Adam.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Happy holidays. That's
Happy
right.
holidays. Happy healthy New Year.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely.
You too, guys. Bye-bye. So there you go. Episode 183, recapping the year. We did cover a good amount of stuff, just scrolling around the Instagram here and jumping around the year and covering different shows and our highlights and experiences and just talking about our love for the band. Hope everyone's doing okay out there at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast, Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube, all the audio platforms. I'll get out a version of this. Patreon.com/TTB podcast to support. Patreon.com/TTB podcast to support. Tedeschi Trucks Podcast.com will get you to everything related to the show. AdamChoit.com for everything else I'm working on. Tedeschi Trucks Band.com. Band's official website. Join the Swamp family. Download the app for sure as well. Thank you to the band, fans, podcast supporters, guests. I think that's everyone. I got my notes here. Thank you, Mark's gas station in the chat. Happy holidays. You are welcome. I think that's pretty much all I got. We'll see. Maybe I'll do another episode before the year ends. We got a couple of weeks before there might be something to come on and pop on and talk about, even if it's just a random live stream to share some thoughts. Doesn't always have to be an epic episode or anything like that. But thank you again, guys. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. Later.